as often as I could. We used what they call V-mail, and everything you wrote home was censored by your officer, platoon officer.
Did you get mail much?
Yeah, quite a bit there. Mother would send me packages and so forth. I do remember getting once after the war was over, Mother made homemade fruit cakes. When she did it, she saturated it with bourbon and everything and wrapped it in towels and all and sent that over to me. I opened that box up. I never seen GIs come from everywhere just to smell. That fruit cake was going in 30 minutes, 30 seconds maybe. Yeah. Now we got our packages and stuff like that when we could. There was times you got relief and you got set back and pulled out of the line for a couple, 3 days to rest up and everything. But you spend your time there getting yourself cleaned up as much as you could, and you took care of your personal self.
Did you have a sweetheart you were writing to it also at home?
Yes, I had a girl. Was my wife. I married her in '47.
When did you finally get to come back to the States?
'46, June of '46.
So you were in ETO for an entire year after the war over.
And I got around to see a lot of it and everything else there. So I got to go to Switzerland on a R&R, the only R&R I ever got, down into Rome. I had an audience with Pope Pius XII at the time. And it's like you're sitting there and I'm sitting here, and that's how he sat, right among us. And saw the ancient ruins of Rome and everything, which that time had not been fixed up like they are today and everything, the original. So I was very there, and that's really the only R&R I got over there.
Did you go to Berlin?
No.
How about Paris?
No.
Never landed on England at all? You didn't go to England at all?
No, I was scheduled during the war, I guess in about March, end of the Yarra River. They were going to send me back to Riviera to rest. And going back, pulling out of the line, we got orders to move again. So I never did catch that C-47 back. I would have flown that time.
When you finally made it back, how'd you get back home, back across the ocean?
Came back home in a Victory ship there.
You didn't lose your lunch there either?
No, it was a totally different, it wasn't quite as crowded, and it was a different kind of trip coming back.
Did you come into Boston again?
No, we came into New York, past the Statue of Liberty and into New York, and came to Fort Kilmer, New Jersey.
When you were on deck, did you see the statue?
Saw the statue.
How'd that feel for a young man? Been gone for a year and a half.
Wonderful.
Any cheering?
Oh, I think we all cheered up on deck there. Yelled, cheered. We were all happy to come home. Yeah.
How long did you stay at Fort Kilmer?
But I think about 3 days. In fact, we got in there on a Friday night, and they weren't going to do any processing on Saturday and Sunday, so we got a pass, and I caught the train home to Washington there that weekend, and then had to go back to Kilmer on Monday morning, be back by Monday.
So when you came home, Mama waiting for you?
Yeah, it's so many of us were coming home, getting discharged home. Mom was waiting.
How about the brother?
Brother was just about 15. He was there. He was at the age where he was getting into trouble.
Were you in a spiffy uniform and everything?
Oh yeah. Oh, yep. Uniform, had ribbons on, all that kind of stuff.
Was there a party that she threw for you?
No, not really. Just good old Mama's dinners. Yeah.
You were discharged, 1946.
Right.
What was you going to do? What did you want to do with your life?
Didn't know. Took me 10 years to get my head straight, to find out what I wanted to do.
Did you use the GI Bill to go to school?
I went to school, and started at college, and went for a while, and got restless, and got bored, and then I got married in '47, so it was. Then I went to work, and.
Did you keep in touch with any of the people in the company?
No. Had no contact with anybody. Yes, I did have one guy, a fellow here in Washington, I met a couple times after the war was over, a fellow by the name of Larry Biggs, but he was up in the 2nd Battalion George Company, but I never really kept in touch with anybody after that. Yeah, we just want to get home, get started with our lives again,
Did they call your company Charlie Company?
Yeah.
How long was it before you decided to join a veterans organization?
I don't think I really. There's two things I never followed through on. One was I started playing a little baseball in '46 with the VFW, like American Legion Baseball, and that was. But then in '47 or '48, I joined the Catholic War Veterans, but I never stayed in them or anything. I really didn't join the American Legion until the late 1980s.
What did you do? What did you go on to do as a career after you finally got yourself straight?
Well, I ended up. I was supply specialist working for the D.C. Air National Guard as GS5. I went down civil service and reopened the clerk's exam, and took the clerk's exam, which is a grade 2 or 3 for the federal government. I passed the grade 3, and I took a personnel clerk's job there in the State Department, and I had a lot of supply experience and everything, and I went over during that period of time, and I talked to the people at GSA, and GSA was expanding under the Federal Administrative Act of '49 to be the central procurement agency, and I got a job with GSA at a GS5 again. That's a strange thing. I went from a 5. The federal government recognized the salary grades, and when I got my 3, I got $100 more than I was making at 5. So, and then when I got my 5 back about 9-10 months later from GSA and the federal government, I got another $100 raise. So it was kind of a transit. But I was very fortunate. I got in there. I spent 30 years with GSA, and I became a senior contracting officer. I retired as a GS-14 Step 8, turned a GS-15 down because I had a nice office of 7 people, and they wanted me to take a procurement branch over with 100 people, and I didn't want all those headaches there at the time. And in '81, a friend of mine was over at the Department of State, and he had just before that, our people had been imprisoned in Iran there. So Congress appropriated $5 million to beef up the security in the embassies. They want to put safe havens in the embassies where embassy people could retreat to and be safe for at least 24 hours and could get outside communications. So the State Department would not hire any direct hire to do that, but they said, we'll hire 2 contract hire. And myself and another guy went over to the State Department as a contract hire. I did that for 5 years. And then when that program was over, I had another good friend heading up the Moscow Embassy project. And I went on that, and no sooner got on that, and that's when it was debugging was found out, and the Russians were kicked off, and everything was stopped. So I did that for 15 more years.
Of your year in 2 years in service, 5 months of combat, 6 months of
5 months.
training.
Let's see, January through, I guess, February, March, April, May, right.
How did your service and experiences during the war affect your life?
I don't think the only effect I had on my life is I didn't know what I wanted to do. I just couldn't get my head together. I should have gone on to college. I should have gotten a law degree. I spent years as a frustrated lawyer doing all the legal work and could not argue the cases and stuff like that. You know, I just until I really, my life really didn't turn around until probably in about 1957.
Do you think it was because of the war?
I think a lot of it was.
If it had not been for the war, would you have pursued college?
I may have. I mean, I think I'd had a better chance of doing it. I mean, I could have matured normally instead of maturing in one way and still being immature in another way. I mean, it's some people won't ever understand what I mean by that, but I've seen death. I've been through heavy shelling, everything, and that kind of maturity there. But then again, I never got a chance to grow up.
As an old man as you are now, are you still affected by dreams almost?
No, not really. Things come up from time to time, but I'm not really. I can't say that I am. I mean, it's ancient history. It's in the past, but I can understand it. I can understand a lot of these guys.
As a soldier of World War II, did you hate the enemy?
I never hated anybody. It's not my nature.
Did your military experience influence your thinking about war?
No, it was a thing that had to be done. And that's why I never... I mean, I had a problem with I think one of the big problems you had with the Vietnam War was World War II veteran was the father of most of those kids coming along that were in college and everything else. And we were brought up, my country, right or wrong. And we had a hard time realizing that what the kids were saying was right about the Vietnam War. And it was President Johnson who never used his reserves. He only used the draft and created the problem of the Vietnam War, really.
But the war we're in Iraq today.
I believe in it. I think it's necessary. I'd rather have it there than here. And I think it's necessary. I mean, don't forget that Mideast has been going on since the time of Christ. And it's the first time that we're really getting some European influence, and I speak European-American influence because we're influenced by the European into the Mideast, I think. And look at the treatment there. I mean, people don't see the women now are out in public life. That never happened in Iraq before. Boys and girls are going to school together. That never happened in Iraq before. All we there. And as we get more of the fundamental education into there, I think you'll see a major change, and I think it's well worth it.
When World War II ended, and that year you stayed in Germany, did you see or hear about any insurgency like we're seeing in Iraq today after the major combat was over?
No, there was no insurgencies at all. I guess some may have happened, but it really they were defeated and they were beaten, and the country was torn apart. You know,
Do you attend reunions from your division today?
Every year.
And do you see people you actually saw in the war, or is it just...
I have, but we're fading out now. This past reunion. None of them were there. One guy I know that was in C Company, but he got wounded in November of '45.
Did your division have a nickname?
Blue Ridge. The Blue Ridgers, what they're called.
Did you have a nickname yourself?
Me? Oh, as a kid, they used to call me Deacon. I don't know.
How about in the military?
No.
What did people call you?
I went by Gene.
Would the sergeants and officers call you Gene, or would they call you Private?
Oh, they probably call me Private O'Neill. As in the relationship in combat was not a separation, but very little separation between that. Private, sergeant, everybody. You were called by first names. You respected your officer and called him by lieutenant. But
who was your officer?
Mike Gold was our captain, and we didn't have a platoon officer when we went on the Ohio River. And later on, in March, we had Lieutenant Sterling, who served as an attorney. He was an attorney. He served as an attorney during the Nuremberg trials there.
I'd like to thank you for your interview today, Mr. O'Neill. Is there anything else you'd like to add?
No, I don't know of anything. I appreciate it too. It's to do this, I guess.
Thanks, sir.
Did I make any sense?
Yes.